okay? Now, am I saying that any kind of an oil spill is good? No, not at all. The LXTOC-1 oil spill in Mexico's shallow Campeche Sound 3 decades ago serves as a distant mirror to today's BP deepwater blowout, and marine scientists are still pondering what they learned from its after effects. In terms of blowouts, LXTOC-1 was a monster until the BP leak, the largest accidental spill in history. Some 3.3 million barrels of oil gushed over nearly 10 months, spreading an oil slick as far north as Texas, where gooey tar balls washed up on beaches. Surprisingly, Mexican scientists say Campeche Sound itself recovered rather quickly, and a sizable shrimp industry returned to normal within 2 years. Luis Soto, a deep-sea biologist, had earned his doctorate from the University of Miami a year before the June 3, 1979 blowout. The shallow, oil-rich continental shelf off the Yucatan Peninsula. Soto and other Mexican marine scientists feared the worst when they examined sea life in the Sound once oil workers finally capped the blowout in March of 1980. This thing was blowing the same amount of oil, folks, for 10 months. This thing's been going about 30-something days. And, this is something we have to look at. And why are more media outlets not reporting this? But anyway, as the studies extended into a second year, scientists noticed how fast the marine environment recovered, helped by naturally occurring microbes that feasted on the oil and degraded it. Perhaps due to those microbes, aquatic life along the shoreline in Texas had returned to normal within 3 years, even as tar balls and tar mats remained along the beaches, sometimes covered by sand. According to Wes Tunel, a marine biologist at Harte Research Institute of Gulf of Mexico Studies at A&M. We were really surprised. After 2 years, the conditions were really almost normal. The Gulf currents and conditions of the spill helped. Unlike the BP blowout, which has spewed at least 5,000 barrels of oil a day, and perhaps many times that, at depths of near 5,000 feet, the other oil spill gushed right to the surface and current slowly took the crude north as far as Texas, killing turtles, seabirds, and other sea life. While that was severe, Tunel noted natural oil that seeps from the seabed released the equivalent of 1 to 2 super tankers of crude in the Gulf of Mexico each year. That's what I call a chronic spill, Tunel said. And I wanted to just go through that article because I think it's something that we have to look at. And I am going to bring on Eric. Eric, you should be live with me here on the Weekend Roundup show. I want to thank you for joining me. And you're on the air.
No problem, Travis. 25,000 barrels a day for 289 days equals out to the 3.3 million barrels. Now, how I came up with the metric ton number was some math, okay? A barrel or a drum is 55 gallons, and within that, then you just calculate, the per gallon weight times, 3.3 million or the actual barrelage of oil that was spilled, and you come up with about 450,000 metric tons of oil that was actually spewed into the Gulf in 1979. And even if the spill we have now is at 25,000 barrels, which would be equivalent to that, in 30 days, it should be nowhere near as big. So to me, when I started looking at the articles, it just leads me to a whole slew of new questions. Really, I mean, is it just one oil spill? Are there multiples? Did something go wrong? Did we do something wrong in the Gulf that there are massive fissures now leaking oil? I mean, I'm not sure, but according to the numbers, and I keep talking that I was researching local scientists here in Florida who were talking about it, aka they appeared in this article. That's what they're asking. They're asking the questions as to, well, why are we doing it this way? Why is there such a closed door on the media? Why aren't they allowing us in to look at it? And they're using this original oil spill that did move slower, yes, but they're using the size and the scope of it to basically say this has only been going on for 30-some-odd days, and even if it is pumping out at 25,000 barrels a day, it's still minuscule compared to the oil slick that happened in 1979. So it just leads out to just some really amazing in-depth questions. And when people start looking at the false flag idea, how they like to utilize crises, okay, we don't really know or think about something that happened like that 31 years ago. Most of your middle-aged people don't even know that this happened. They have no idea when I was showing this article to them that there was that kind of spill that happened such a short period of time ago. And so when you're looking at this, whenever I go back, I just keep hearing that guy pop into my mind. You can't let a good crisis go to waste.
and it's not just the oil spill that they're telling us about. So that could be shown to be wrong in the future, but at this exact moment, at this point on June 1, there's no question that it looks like a volcano. If you look at the material and the pictures floating on the surface, it definitely, I mean, compared to the Exxon Valdez oil spill, it's a totally different color. It's got all this white stuff, most of it's red, a lot of yellow junk floating around in it. Totally different in appearance from basically any other oil spill. And when you look at the gushers coming out, it looks exactly like a volcanic gusher. I've got, in this YouTube video here, I've got a picture of it flowing out. It's white for a while, then it changes color back to darker. And you have to wonder, why is it exploding upward as it is, curiously, in the exact appearance of a volcano. Now, this wouldn't be just a lava volcano heating up the water and stuff. This would be one perhaps deeper under that's mixing with all kinds of mud and so forth. I think there was another YouTube channel, OOO Soldier 000, discussing how it's a mud volcano. So just go to the Henning Kemner video in the favorites at the Antimatter Radio channel, and you'll see it's quite convincing, quite clear. And this would make sense because the Illuminati always has to lie about everything. If something happens and they say it's X, we know that it's Y. Okay? We know that it's not X, in other words.
Well, the oil spill's been going on for 6 or 7 weeks now. Still hasn't washed up on the shores yet. People are starting to get a little suspicious that this is something else other than an oil spill. So am I. There's speculation that it's a mud volcano. Probably is. Media's ramping it up as the biggest catastrophe in U.S. history. Their BP refuses like common sense approaches to getting rid of the oil spill. They insist on spraying this chemical dispersant, even though the EPA ordered them to stop. They refused. All kinds of great ideas being proposed to clean up this mess. Anything from hair boons, human hair boons, to micro technology, which is like quite advanced actually. But no, they want to spew these chemical dispersants in the area. And if they are ramping up this oil spill crisis, and it doesn't exist, why would they be doing that? Well, as the guy says, if they throw you a loop this way, you gotta look that way. And I think it has something to do with weather modification. Seeing as how the Gulf is, it's like a center hub for the weather, for the trade winds, especially the water, especially the ocean, the conveyor belt they call it. So you spray a substance in there that evaporates at an extremely high rate, and it's designed to further manipulate the weather, just like they've been doing so obviously for the last few years. And it's not hard to imagine. It goes hand in hand with weather wars, weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather by 2025. We are at war. We've been at war for quite a while. All you have to do is look in the sky. So, be that as it may, we're at war, then anything's possible. You got to consider anything. And I'm starting to believe that this is like some kind of enigma wrapped in an enigma, and they're hiding the real catastrophe that they're creating behind this oil spill catastrophe. Anyways, time will tell. Of course, if you're in denial and you think this is normal cloud cover, it's entirely up to you. But if you do realize that this is all sky muck, all generated by the same muck faces that are mucking up the Gulf of Mexico right now, then you might be able to think outside the box. See that this campaign of spraying the sky constantly all over the world isn't going to go on forever. There's a reason why they're doing this. And sooner or later, they're going to take it to the next level. The Gulf of Mexico is probably it.